Okay, so I'm going to continue on this code from the previous video. If you haven't seen that video, there should be a link above or below in the description. Now we are going to jump back down to the reset procedure and continue working on that. So we're going to use randomize as we did with the command line version of this game, and just put a note here that this sets minVal, maxVal, and maxTries. All right, so we are now going to set our secret number. Secret number is going to be set to random, and we're going to use maxVal minus minVal plus 1 and then plus minVal. Okay, so that'll set our secret number based upon whatever difficulty level the player chooses when they start the game, or when the game resets, because again, we are in the reset section. So if they lose the game, they choose a difficulty level as well, not just when the game starts out. All right, so tries are going to be set to 0 at the beginning of the reset. Game over is also going to be set to false at the beginning of the reset. And we also want to reset the UI or the user interface. So button 1 caption, we're going to change to guess. We're going to allow them to change the edit box. So we're going to enable it. Are going to erase what's inside of the edit box. So we're going to say edit 1 text is going to be set to just 2 quotation marks. So that's going to be empty. And we're going to change the caption of the label. So we're going to say label 1 caption format. And we're going to format this. The format function works just like f strings and Python. And I believe that comes from the sysutils unit as well. All right, so we're going to format this. Say guess a number between, I'm going to put a placeholder here, digit and digit. And we also going to tell them how many tries they have. Tries will also be a digit. Okay, I'm going to put this over here so it doesn't continue to run off the screen. So now we actually need to, and the variables that we want to go into those placeholders. So minVal, maxVal, and maxTries all going to be inside these brackets. Okay, and then you close the parentheses for the function call, and or rather in this case it's a procedure because it's not returning anything. This procedure call, and then semicolon at the end. So that's what that looks like. All right. So we also want to change where the label is positioned. I'm going to say label 1 left. Let's say 5 for right now, because I did put this in a random place. I might have to play with this so that it's centered properly. We could use a formula, but because this is changing dynamically, where this is going to be placed is not an easy formula to write, and I don't waste time doing that. So I'm just going to manually eyeball it when we actually start running it. And actually, when I go back down here to make things easier for myself, when we go back to label, I know I showed you how to change the size here, but it being this large is not really helpful for us given how long this line of text is that's going to be on the label. So let me make the size what it was before. Go back over here to the properties and go back to 0. Okay, so this is the code that we have right now for the reset procedure. Let's compile our program. What do we have here as an error? Oh, yeah, sorry about that. These should be semicolons, not commas, because these actually could be on separate lines. I just wrote them on one line. These are separate segments. So all of these are semicolons. I got a little bit carried away looking at my notes. All right, so yeah, these are semicolons because all these could be on separate lines. All right, so let's try to compile again. And I need to spell randomize right. Okay, so say I choose, I don't know, I put my name in here, which is not an E, an N, or H. It will default to the normal. If I put the E in though, we have the E0 range. And if I put, or run this and I put the H, and, or even if I put in hard, lowercase h, we should get the hard range. All right, so we have our choose difficulty procedure. We have our reset game procedure is run when the form is created. And also we're going to run it when they lose. Most of our action, so most of the code is going to be in when they click the button. And you'll notice that a lot of the code that we put in this procedure, the button click procedure, is going to be very similar, if not pretty much identical to the code that we had in the command line version of this game. So we're going to have some local variables that are just available to this procedure. The guess variable is going to store their guess. That is going to be an integer, and the OK variable is going to check whether or not their guess is okay. And you'll see more about that in a minute. The first thing we want to do inside of the procedure is check to see if the game is over. So we're going to say if game over, then to begin the block here, we are going to reset the game, and then we are going to exit this procedure. The only thing that will set the game to over is this procedure itself later on, and we'll write that code later. All right, so the second thing you want to do, as I mentioned earlier, is check to see if what they have in the box is a valid response. So we're going to set the variable, the Boolean, to the output of this function. So we have a function called TryStrToInt, which tries to, as you imagine, convert a string into an integer, and anything inside of this text box is going to be a string. So we have to convert it anyway. So we're going to say TryStrToInt. This is also something from the sysutils unit that we get for free. And what we are going to check, we have the string that we're going to check here, and then the variable that we want to output the integer to, okay, which we defined up here as guess. So we're going to say edit1.text. So whatever is in the text box, we're going to try to convert it into a integer, okay? So this will convert it if it can, and it will set okay to true or false, depending on whether or not this was successful, okay? So what we will do next is check to see if that was successful. So we're going to say if not okay, then we will show a message. Again, this comes from the dialog unit. Please enter a whole number. Every time they click the button, it'll say please enter a whole number if it isn't a whole number. We also want to exit here, just like we did before. We don't want to do anything else in the procedure if they didn't put the right information in, so that the next time they click the button, it starts from the top. Okay. Next, we want to validate if they put in numbers in the correct range based upon the difficulty that they chose. So we're going to say if guess is less than minVal or guess is greater than maxVal, then begin, and we're going to show another message here. All right. So one thing I should note, we don't get down here at all. This doesn't work. If this conversion from a string to an integer doesn't work. So this won't create an error because this should have put an integer in this variable. If it didn't, then this would have ran and we would have been back at the top checking again. Okay. So I'm going to use the format procedure again. And this time I'm going to say enter a number from digit to digit, and we need the minVal and maxVal. Test this out. I'm going to go with the default and say I put in Alice here instead of a number. It says please enter a whole number. 4.5, please enter a whole number. Now for the normal version, we are going from 1 to 20. So if I put in -5 here, I get to enter a number from 1 to 20 if I put in 50 here. Okay, so that's working. Now, just like with the other ones, things aren't working the way that we want. We want to exit the button. Okay, all right. So we're almost to the code that is basically exactly the same as the other program, but we do need to do one more thing because we are counting the tries in this one because the difficulty includes the tries. So what we're going to do is increment the tries variable. Remember we set that earlier. So if they have gotten past this and this, we have a valid whole number that we can actually check. This counts as a valid try. We're not going to increment that until we have a whole number. Okay, now we can actually check. And this is going to be a simple statement similar to what we did in the command line one. So if guess is less than secretNumber, then I'm going to show message to else if guess is greater than secretNumber, and we're going to show message to hi. All right, else, and this we're going to put in a block, so we're going to do a begin and end. Else we are going to show message. We're going to format this one as well. So here we are going to say got it in digit attempts, okay, and then we're going to put tries in here. Okay, so at the beginning this is just a defined variable, and then we're going to increment it, which will increment it up to 1. So if they get it in the first try, what the message will print out is that you got it in the first try. All right, so at this point the game is over. We set game over to true. All right, so let's say they got either one of these two messages. Then we do have to do something else here. We have to change the label to a different caption. We're going to do that by setting it equal to format, and format is going to say, actually, let's do maxVal, minVal tries, and max tries are the variables that we're going to use in the output here. And let me put this on the next line. Inside the text, you're going to say guess a number digit ... digit. And we will tell them this is a temp digit of digit. Sorry, this is all inside of here. So let me open that up. All right, so this is what will display if they get it wrong, basically, after it says too low or too high. When they click off that, we'll get this next. Okay, here again, I'm just going to try to figure out where this should be by eyeballing it. So I'm going to say label 1 dot left, and we're going to set this to 20. This is a shorter string than the previous string, so I'm moving this over more to try to center. And we can test this out again, assuming you don't have any typos anywhere. I'm going to make this normal again, and unless I get this in the first try, we can test this out. Put in 5, say it's too low. Okay, so now it says guess number. Yeah, I actually have an error there. I put maxVal here and minVal here. So let me stop this. This should be minVal and this should be maxVal. Okay. Also, that looked not as centered as I would want. So I'm going to do 22 and then let's run it again and say 1 to 20. 6 tries, put in 5 again. It's also too low in this thing. I also have another error. When typing and talking, it's very easy to have bugs. Let me stop that. I forgot the other digit. But what's great about Lazarus is it does let you do the rapid application development here. So guess, and I'm gonna do 5 again. It's too high this time. And okay, so now this looks like we want it to look. I actually could probably move this over a little bit more. Let's say 4. One other thing that we could do here is change the caption of the form itself. And you should do this actually. So it doesn't say, so it doesn't say just form. You can do that over here instead of searching for it in the properties. It changes to guessing game 2.0. And we will test this out. Let's do normal. Let's say 5 low. Let's say 15 too high. Let's say 10. Got in 3 attempts. Okay. Now we need to write the rest of the code to reset everything now to actually set game over to true now that we've guessed the right thing. Without that code, we still have the previous range in there. We can guess this again. All right, so we did actually, it did reset it. So actually we do need to add more code, but not as much code as I thought. We actually we just need to have a pop-up for if they're out of tries. So let me close this. All right, so we're gonna say if not game over and tries greater than or equal to max try. And let's begin a block here. We're gonna show a message and it's gonna be another format message. We're gonna give them the secret number here. So we're gonna say secret number, and what specifically we'll say is out of tries. Make this a little bit tries. The secret was, and then digit. And if you don't want this to run off of the screen, your text actually might not be as big as mine. I'm making it bigger because I'm making this video. So you might not have the same issue. You can move this down here if you do. All right. And in this case, we also want to set game over to true like we did up here when they guessed the right number. So I say game over is going to be true. All right. So one thing we want to do that is not implemented after all of this, block the game interface so they can't put anything else in. So we're going to say if game over, then our block, and we're going to edit 1, and so I'm going to set the Edit.Enabled to false. It's too far over. Sure. And then we're going to set the button caption. So we change the button caption to play again. All right, so that's pretty much the end of the program, and we can test it out here. Make sure everything is working. Let's go to easy mode. 10, put in a 4. That's too high. And 3, got it in 2 attempts. You can say play again. Notice that this is grayed out. We can't put anything else in. Let's go normal mode. Let's go 5, too low, 5 again, 5 again, 5 again, 5 again. You see the attempts clicking up, 5 again, and out of tries, the secret number was 17. Okay, press OK. It's grayed out again, and then we can play again. Hard, 10, too high, 5, got it in 2 attempts. Okay, so that's it. All right, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to save this project. So go to project and then save as, and then go to our projects and in your Pascal folder, we're going to create a folder called Guess Game 2 and say guess. And because my computer crashed, I also need to save the unit there, but you won't. When you save it as guess game, what it'll do is ask you to save the unit as well. But because my computer crashed and I saved it before, I actually have to make sure that the unit is in the right place. So I'm going to save the unit that I'm using inside that directory also. All right, so now that this game is done, we're going to continue this series of game development using Object Pascal, but we're going to do more visual stuff. We started to do that in the last video with animation. What we may do in the next video is create a simple Pong game, or I might start to introduce you to the Castle gaming engine where you can create 2D or 3D games. Haven't decided yet. The Pong series will take a couple videos, and this already, since I've been recording for an hour, will probably take 2 videos. So I will see. We might do both, but in session, we'll probably switch over to Castle Gaming Engine. All right, see you in the next one.